As we've demonstrated with every attack to date, NATO and our partners continue to do everything possible to minimize any harm to innocent people and to reduce the capacity of pro-Gaddafi forces to target the civilian population. We know that pro-Gaddafi forces are using innocent people as human shields. This tactic is completely reprehensible and unacceptable. We will continue to be forthright and proactive, but we will not be reckless. Just today, I've seen on open source reporting that thousands of telecom engineers have been used to become human shields to protect the communication infrastructure within Libya. Shifting to operations at sea. NATO and coalition warships, submarines, and maritime aircraft continue to enforce the arms embargo. Our assets have helped the much-needed flow of humanitarian aid to proceed unhindered through the embargoed area and arrive in Libyan ports, in particular into Misrata and Benghazi. Since the start of operations, we've been encouraging pro-Gaddafi forces to lay down their arms. Just recently, we have stepped up these activities by distributing leaflets and using an airborne radio system to tell Gaddafi forces to move away from any military equipment, including aircraft, vessels, vehicles, and infrastructure, anything to do with the facilities used to attack the civilian population, and to return to their barracks and homes. Just 2 days ago, NATO maritime forces thwarted another attack on Misrata by pro-Gaddafi forces in small boats. NATO detected 2 rigid hull inflatable boats known as RIBs. These were spotted heading from the western coastal areas towards Misrata. NATO forces reacted by sending warships and helicopters to identify and investigate the RIBs. Slide 1, please. As NATO forces made their approach, 1 RIB was observed stopped in the water as the second escaped at high speed back to the west. Slide 2. An explosive ordnance disposal team, known as an EOD team, from an Allied warship was deployed to inspect the abandoned RIB and discovered a large quantity of explosives, approximately 1 metric ton, and 2 human mannequins. Slide 3, please. In view of the obvious threat posed by the explosives, the decision was made to destroy the RIB at sea. This was carried out by Allied warships using naval gunfire. Slide 4. This can only be interpreted as a crude attempt to get mariners to come close to the RIB, thinking there might be people in distress, only then to set off the explosives with a potential devastating effect. Thank you for the pictures. 1 ton of explosives is a huge amount. This is nothing less than a floating booby trap meant to kill people or sink ships. This is the 3rd naval incident we've witnessed. You may recall the attempted mining of the approaches of Misrata on the 29th of April, and just last week, 2 RIBs attempted to slip past NATO forces and approach the port of Misrata, but they were also intercepted by our ships. This series of incidents is a serious change in tactics by the pro-Gaddafi forces and clearly demonstrates their intent to use their naval assets and naval knowledge to bring even more harm to innocent civilians. It also demonstrates that pro-Gaddafi forces have the will and desire to strike NATO vessels. In sum, NATO and the coalition continues to work every day using all measures available to protect the innocent civilian population of Libya. We have constantly adapted to the changing and dynamic situation, both on the ground and at sea. The tally of measurable successes made by the air campaign now stands at nearly 7,000 sorties, of which 2,700 have been strike sorties. Whilst these figures are impressive, what truly matters is that we are achieving our mission, and most importantly, stopping attacks on innocent civilians. The situation near Brega is stable. However, there is sporadic fighting occurring between pro- and anti-Gaddafi forces away from the city, where civilians are safely out of the way. Misrata is much safer than it was even a few days ago, with less shelling on the city. The western villages are holding on, and we continue to attack pro-Gaddafi forces that threaten civilian populations. Our campaign to stop the attacks and degrade the regime's ability to resupply its front line is working, and we continue